And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Monday, July 14th, 2025. And in the weather-related headlines, we have some wetting rains that'll be moving into the west coast, pushing into the western interior, and that will help subdue the fire danger in that area of the state. Also, a frontal system that'll bring that rain and some wind will cause a high surf advisory. We'll see some higher water levels along areas of the west coast, especially within Norton Sound, as we go through early Tuesday morning through early Wednesday morning. And then we're kind of watching this ridging pattern. It's rather uncertain whether the ridge will build more or less. It's trending maybe a little weaker now than what it was looking like over the weekend. And so that could end up bringing some wetter weather to areas of the southwest and south central at times rather than warmer temperatures. So kind of take a look at that coming up here. Last quarter moon occurs this Friday, July 18th, and the new moon the following week on Thursday, the 24th. So a quick tour of a few of the webcams around the state. Nome picking up some light rain now, 50 degrees. They're going to see some gusty southeast to south winds pushing into there tonight, along with periods of light to moderate rain. Shaktoolik has this high surf advisory, as does Nome. Shaktoolik could see some higher water levels, perhaps as much as 4 to 6 feet above the normal high tide line during the high tide period. Clouds are on the increase there. The rain will be developing by the time we get into early tomorrow morning, and especially as the day goes on. Temperature 61, and then Kodiak Island, mostly cloudy. A different area of low pressure is going to bring some rain there for Tuesday night into Wednesday. Right now, just kind of mostly cloudy, 57. And then finally, areas of the northeastern Gulf Coast Panhandle enjoying some drier weather, warmer temperatures, a bit of sunshine. And that'll continue through midweek, at least through Wednesday. Angoon seeing mainly sunny skies, 60 degrees, a few cumulus clouds building over those higher peaks there in the distance. Well, here is what we have for current advisories, watches, warnings. We have this high surf advisory that goes from the Bering Strait at Wales and Steller all the way along the west coast, including all of Norton Sound, and then down across the lower Yukon Delta to Hooper Bay. And we're going to see this front come in from the southwest as we go through tonight into Tuesday. And ahead of it, there's a band of rain and winds will be picking up. So these areas along, especially within Norton Sound, from Golovin to Koyuk, down through Shaktoolik, Unalakleet, on over toward St. Michael and Stebbins, could see those water levels as much as 4 to 6 feet above the normal high tide line. Other areas along the Seward Peninsula and down here along the lower Yukon coast, more on the order of 2 or 3, maybe as much as 4, but nevertheless something to be aware of. And again, some soaking rains are going to be pushing in across areas of the west. Something I did want to show you, these are the sea surface temperatures, and it shows the anomalies where the sea surface temperature is above or below normal. And we find the sea surface temperature is quite a bit, like some 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, I should say 3 to as much as 5 degrees Celsius warmer here, out over the Pacific between 30 and 45 degrees north latitude. And why is that important? Well, any tropical system crossing through this region will encounter way warmer than normal waters, which would allow a typhoon or a tropical storm to maintain strength. And a system like that coming northeastward toward Alaska then could end up being stronger and wetter than what we would like. There's an area below normal temperatures off the California coast, but that's something to kind of keep an eye on here as we get into the later summer and into the fall, because that certainly could influence some of the storms. Fire season, full swing. We have 246 active fires now across the state. And behind me, the amount of acreage consumed has really jumped up here in the past week or so. Over 830,000 acres have been consumed. And 20 of those fires have staff. That means firefighters and various incident command people and stuff working to fight those fires. So it's definitely been a busy period here since prior to, I'd say, the latter half of June. Up until now, the past month has been really active, but the good news is a little cooler temperatures, wet weather will subdue the fire activity throughout western Alaska. You'll see that on the weather map coming up. Further east as you get out toward central interior and especially Yukon Flats, Alcan border, there would be some scattered showers there, so that'll help reduce fire behavior, but spotty precipitation in those areas still mean the potential for some spots to burn. And high pressure late in the week could bring some warmer and drier weather to the central eastern interior, maybe even parts of south central and the southeast. We'll have to wait and see because the models have not completely agreed on how that's going to shake out. The other day and a few days before, it was showing quite a strong ridge. Now it's more flattened, so we'll see. But the grass adjective for fire danger going into Tuesday, still high out here in the Yukon Flats, but otherwise you can see here out in the west, really subdued because of the rain. The spruce adjective is also pretty knocked down, only high in parts mainly around the Yukon Flats. And looking at the satellite imagery, we got a few things going on. We got stronger low out here in the western Bering. We're going to have another low come up out of the North Pacific toward Kodiak Island Tuesday night. And then right now we have moisture. Moisture has been increasing across areas of the interior, so a bit more cloud cover. And some scattering of showers is helping to at least subdue some of the fire danger, but here especially in the west, coming in through the Yukon Delta, Norton Sound, Seward Peninsula, Kotzebue Sound, up into the western half of the Brooks Range. We have this steady flow of moisture coming in off the Bering. There's this warm front that'll be lifting northeastward tonight, bringing in the rain and breezier conditions along the coast. That's why that high surf advisory goes in effect 4 a.m. Tuesday morning, running through early on Wednesday morning. And here's the ridging. There's some weak ridging still up through the Gulf. If we could bust out of the cloud cover and have just a lot of sunshine through this region, it'd be quite warm, but we have a lot of lower level moisture trapped beneath this ridge. And for Tuesday afternoon, we find the front lifting inland further north and east, and there'll be precipitation streaming further up the Yukon Valley and up across the Brooks Range into the North Slope, but quite wet across this region of the west. And that low is fairly deep, down around 980, 84 millibar, so that's pretty decent for summertime. And then here's the hint of the next low. Tuesday night, that'll be crossing up through Shelikof Strait, bringing briefly breezier and wetter weather to this part of the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, Homer, into Cook Inlet, especially lower Cook Inlet. And then on Thursday, that system kind of washes out and we just have some remnant moisture in areas of southwest, south central mainland. And otherwise, maybe a few stray showers coming back into the panhandle, but there's still a hint of a surface ridge here. And we have this other front that's going to be coming north and east. So the question is, what will this do as we get into Thursday, Friday, as that rides up along the Alaska Peninsula into the southwest and south central mainland? That could potentially provide more in the way of some cloud cover and even some rain. So again, that could tend to keep temperatures down. Unless this ridge holds and actually builds a little stronger, then that could give a little more sun and warmer temperatures to the eastern, southeast interior, maybe parts of the panhandle. So that's a little up in the air right now, literally. And taking a look at the Tuesday morning lows, quite mild. 58 Fort Yukon, 55 Fairbanks. Even up along the Arctic coast, low temperatures generally staying above 40 degrees, 52 there at Dead Horse. And we find even with that southwesterly flow off of the Bering, south-southwesterly flow, lows mid-upper 40s along the coast. Highs on Tuesday statewide, though, have been subdued by the cloud cover and precipitation. Warmest reading could squeak out near 70 Fort Yukon and down around Northway, but as you look west, underneath low cloudiness, fog, and periods of moderate rain, some areas through here in the west could receive over an inch of rainfall with this system. So that's going to be pretty substantial to help knock down the fire danger. Panhandle enjoying some temperatures, 60s to near around 70. Few of the warmer spots could be right at or just above 70 on Tuesday afternoon. So decent weather across the Panhandle. We'll be monitoring south central, still kind of playing in and out of some clouds, which really tends to limit the warm-up that can occur in the daytime. And then low temperatures fairly uniform throughout the interior, upper 40s to lower 50s. We find lows even along The Arctic coast generally in the 40s, 37 there at Utqiagvik, and then 40s down along the west coast. So pretty uniform temperatures, and then out here in the Panhandle, lows generally in the 50s, low mid 50s. And on Wednesday afternoon, we get a little bit of sun, bump back up into the 70s, especially Fairbanks up through the Tanana Valley. May even be getting a little bit of downslope to help that. And temperatures also in the Panhandle well into the 60s, probably at least lower 70s in a number of spots. It'll be another warmer day there in the Panhandle, and certainly drier than what has been the case. And further west, typical cooler waters of the Bering. Even though we have all this warm, moist air crossing the Bering, that generates lower cloudiness and fog, and then those areas of rain. So the precipitation could continue into areas of the west and into the interior here as we go through the day on Wednesday. And looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, July 20th through the 24th, so that takes us up into past next weekend and early next week. Below normal temperatures, we have this kind of more of a southwest flow, troughiness coming in, bringing in clouds and potentially some periods of rain across the southwest into the interior. Maybe a little drier than normal, a little warmer than normal, northeastern Gulf Coast and Panhandle in that time frame. And it's looking like, yes, because of the flow coming in off of the Bering and some moisture maybe coming upward from the Gulf, from the North Pacific, we could find wetter than normal conditions north and west of the Alaska Range up through the Brooks Range. And then back here through the Panhandle, maybe a little drier than normal conditions for a change in that period of July 20th through the 24th.